All right, and there you go. I met Tony Hawk, and he talked to me, and he didn't seem too upset to have to do it. You may have noticed that the number of people in the studio has multiplied since we did the Tony Hawk interview video, and that's because the good folks from Code Hero have decided to come and join us. Yay!
Yay!
All right, so we have Alex, and I don't know if I've met any of you guys yet, but
we can pass around the mic and let them introduce themselves. Like, what do you guys do on each of the game?
Hi, I'm Dan. I'm the sysadmin. I run all the computers, and I carry around a giant one.
Nice.
Cloudbuster, we call it.
Hey, I'm Ross. I'm a solutions engineer, and I do back-end programming.
Nice.
And I am Eric's, and I'm the lead developer now for Code Hero, and I'm trying to make a holodeck. So.
Oh, I want to be in your holodeck. I've always wanted one.
I want to do some Sherlock Holmes detective stuff, but I don't want Moriarty to come to life and kill me.
They're always trying to escape from the holodeck.
Yeah, Moriarty's always trying to escape from the holodeck. That's the one thing I don't want. So as long as you can guarantee me a Moriarty that won't try and escape, I will. You can't guarantee.
Not yet. Yeah.
In Star Trek, they hadn't actually gotten to the idea of augmented reality. So now it's actually possible for Moriarty to escape in the real world today with technology that even Star Trek hadn't tried yet.
That was some awesome shit you
All
just
right,
said.
and
mind blown.
right here, right now, Alex, you're already blowing my mind. This is just like when I met you a few days ago. Like, Alex, you haven't introduced yourself. Why don't you introduce yourself?
So I'm Alex Peake, and a lot of people know me as the crazy guy in the lab coats from the music videos. Our first version of our Kickstarter video had a music video in it. If you saved a copy of that, it's nowhere else on the internet. Basically, I started a long time ago with the dream of making Dungeons & Dragons into a video game. And if you've actually played a pen and paper Dungeons & Dragons game, you're in the minority these days. But most game designers, I think, started that way. Because once you could use your imagination to make anything, well, video games seemed restrictive, so you had to make your imagination into a new video game. But someone's playing your game, and they're thinking, man, this guy's imagination is restricting me. I want to make my game. So the game industry is just one person after another fighting the fact that games don't let you do exactly what you want to do. Now, what we decided to do was to create a game that teaches people how to make games. You have a sign out front that says, "Yo dog, I heard you liked self-referential memes." So I made a video game where you can turn self-referential memes into video games. Essentially, Code Hero is a code gun in a first-person shooter, sort of like Minecraft and Portal, where you type in code or you find code and you shoot the code. And when the raycast hits the target, it collides with it and executes that code. What that means is that in the same kind of gameplay style that you've already gotten used to from Minecraft and Portal, you're learning video game programming. And that essentially sets you on a course not just to beat the bosses of the game that prove your skill, but to beat the ultimate boss, which is called Ship Boss. To beat Ship Boss, you have to earn your place on the real artist's ship, as Steve Jobs used to call it. That means shipping a game. And so we don't measure ourselves by monetization, which is obviously crucial to survive in the industry and important, but we measure ourselves by programmerization. And our metric is how many humans can we get to become programmers? And our target number is all the humans.
Nice. Dude, so with this in mind, you guys have undertaken a really interesting journey here. You went to Kickstarter to fund your game. And you got a huge response from the internet, and you guys your first goal was like 100,000, right?
That's what we said. Our real goal was more like $1 million, but we started a little bit late. Tim Schafer definitely beat us to the punch of being the first multi-million-dollar video game Kickstarter, and he really inspired us to not to let it slide. And we saw what he had done, and we thought, okay, this is our moment. We wrote emails to every editor of every magazine, and a lot of them started writing articles before we wrote to them. And we thought, did you send the email? No, No, they're just running the stories. And the reason they cared is because it's not just a video game; it's a change in the world. For people to be able to learn programming and it to actually be fun is quite a big difference from, I don't know, how many people here have ever tried programming?
No.
So,
it's not easy.
Your first try is not always love at first sight. My first try was like C++, and C++ really made me not like programming. But I tried another one that was easier and better called Prograph, and suddenly I made my first game. I had players. I got all my friends playing. The school was trying to figure out how to shut down this game, but it allowed you to play over systems where you're not supposed to be able to play games. It's a long time ago. And that's why the Kickstarter was a big hit, is because it's something everybody wanted. And in fact, many people had thought about making before us.
Kind of like Mavis Beacon teaches having but for coding, right?
Well, it started almost exactly like that. I mean, I've made the first prototype. It was a 2D game with code, and you had to, make the code. I'm not going to give away too many details of exactly how it worked, because we'll probably release that later as kind of a joke. But I knew in the back of my head that what I really wanted was the holodeck with the gun that shoots the code. And I made a very simple prototype of it, but I needed help. As a lone developer, as I was and have been at many points in this project, it was hard. I brought in my friend Charles to help me, and we were able to actually get the prototype to work. And the moment we saw it, we just threw out the 2D thing. And the 2D thing looked a lot like a lot of the other people out there that try to teach programming. It works, but it's not fun. And so shooting things is fun. And when you can figure out why what you shoot does what it does and then change it to do something cooler, it's been magical.
Yeah, it's like limitless, like the potential. It's almost like you guys are making a new version of Scribblenauts.
Scribblenauts is awesome.
Yeah, like you're making. Go ahead.
I was going to ask which language it is.
So it teaches JavaScript within the Unity 3D engine, which means JavaScript, not like you're used to. If you've done web programming, you'll recognize the syntax and it'll make it easy to learn. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that you're not used to that makes it even easier. For example, classes. In JavaScript, classes, like making new types of things, works in a weird way. In Unity, which is the game engine that we teach, it's a lot more straightforward. Plus, you have a whole realm of stuff called .NET. So the Unity engine covers all the game stuff, and the .NET covers all the kind of low-level programming stuff. And the reason we chose this is because we'd like to eventually adapt it so we can teach all the programming languages. And the next will be C# and Python. Python's really popular with beginners because it's very nice looking. But those languages, especially Python, are not used in games so much. We wanted to teach the thing that is taking over the industry for a good reason, and that's Unity 3D. And what's magical about Unity 3D is that once upon a time, when I started this project many years ago, I looked at game engines and it was just frustrating. And I thought maybe someday something that John Carmack was done with, that he was like a table scrap that he open sourced that fell off his table, would be good enough that sort of indie open source people could have a great engine. But there was nothing like Unity when I started. I bumped into them at WWDC. First time I was at the Moscone, the same place GDC is at. I bumped into Nicholas. I had no idea who he was. I didn't know anyone in the developer community. I just said, "Hi, I'm a Mac game developer." And he said, "Wow, they exist. We're a Mac game engine." And I said, "Wow, it exists." So I started learning about them, and they heard my idea. Then they released the Windows support. Then they released the iPhone support. Then they released all the platform support. And their platform support has a scroll bar in it. And when they add a platform, they make it only slightly bigger, so there's still a scroll bar. They have an engine which makes anything possible, is free. They're giving away even the mobile license right now. If you're watching this, go get your mobile license right now. You will be sad if you miss it after the thing expires. That is a tool which is not just good for game developers who are choosing between game engines. It's good for schools that are trying to find a way to teach all humans programming. And that's kind of the frontier beyond the game market.
On that point, we do have a question from chat. From Sin is asking that, do you see colleges and schools actually using this as an education tool?
The answer is we can't stop them. If we didn't officially endorse and support them, they would just be using it as they already are. We've had schools where the kids have recommended it to the teachers, and we've had schools where the teachers are using it with their students. One of those teachers, Sean, is one of the more active members in our community. We have a thing called Facebook Army, and that's where people can chat with each other, little 250 limited person Facebook groups. There's a Dunbar number of like the maximum number of people that can know each other well in a group, but Facebook just caps it at 250. And one of these people, Sean, he's been importing videos and assets and art files from the www method, which is like a web download method that's built into Unity. If you've ever done Second Life, you've seen how it kind of streams things in a bit at a time. Well, that's just built in. And so he's not only teaching it, he's putting things in it that we didn't put there. Now, next we're going to release user-generated content, loading and saving. importing and exporting, which means you can make a thing in Unity that wasn't possible in Code Hero and just import it because it's the same engine. You could make a thing in Code Hero that you want to take further than our engine currently allows you to, bring it into the full Unity editor. So that is two of the core features that we're planning for schools, along with some collaboration and some privacy features, because little kids have to be kept away from pedo bears. That's very important for a school to have protection of their students.